Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law, and I hope you're having a great day. As always, my name is Kurt Mueller, a licensed attorney in Texas, Virginia, and before the U.S. Supreme Court, and I hope you're having a great day. For today's story, we bring some renewed attention and a partial summary to the Ethan Klein content nuke case. As you may recall, Ethan Klein of H3H3 made a video that he then registered with the Copyright Office, and he made it so that people would want to watch his video, and they did. But some people decided to restream the video in full and without really any commentary of any design, which isn't great when it comes to your fair use factors. Let's see. I'm using the entirety of the work. Okay, that's kind of a strike against me. I'm not really transforming the work in any way because I'm not adding commentary, critique, or anything to sort of change the work. I'm just kind of presenting it as is, so I'm not transforming the work. That's great. It is a creative work. It is not the phone book. It is a work of creative. Okay, that's great. That doesn't really help me on the fair use factor. And then, in possibly the dumbest move I've ever seen ever in an IP lawsuit, the creators went on to run as hard against fair use factor 4 as it is possible to run, right? The degree to which the infringing work substitutes for the original work, market substitute. And they decided to run as strongly headlong into that as is possible by saying things like, yes, I am personally intending you and desire that you come to watch it on my channel specifically and directly so that you will not watch it on Ethan's channel, and specifically and directly so that you will give me the money and not Ethan Klein the money. This is my desire and purpose. I am doing this so it is ethical, so we can ethically watch the content so he doesn't get any of the views and he doesn't get any of the revenue, because I get all the views and I get all the revenue, and you can watch it here and not there. They said these things directly into camera. It was pretty hilarious. And the IP lawyer in me that I am is like, oh no, yeah, that's not going to end well for you guys. You weren't already doing great, and you are just running headlong into that commercial infringement aspect. It is a total disaster for you guys. So, better pony up. Now, initially, all three of our contestants over here decided they wanted to fight this, and they wanted to fight the man and show, that, they were strong and all the rest of it. But unfortunately, we have lost one. Kaceytron has decided to settle. I know that you're sad. I am sad too that Kaceytron has settled, but she has. And she made a statement as part of the settlements, which, it's more, if it couldn't be more hostage video-y if we tried. Personally, I would have added a condition to the settlement that the video has to make it seem like you actually give a damn, like to any degree. I would have been like, it has to actually make it seem like you mean it. You have to at least try to seem like you mean it. But apparently that was not one of the conditions, because it couldn't be more hostagey if we tried. Well, we're going to watch this video in its entirety, and then we'll comment on it as we do, and then we'll watch some other stuff. So first of all, let's listen to Kaceytron in her own words, uninterrupted, and we'll just let her speak for herself because that sounds like fun. All right, let's do it.
I want to begin by stating I take responsibility for infringing the content nuke. The lawsuit was not frivolous. When I said the lawsuit was frivolous and based on misogyny, it was to garner sympathy, protect my own reputation, and retaliate against the Kleins. This lawsuit has given me a greater understanding of copyright protection, people's copyrights, and the importance of protecting copyrights in the online content creation community. It is important for the entire content creation community to respect the intellectual property rights of other creators, and I will adhere to the lessons I've learned throughout this process going forward. I also want to make clear that I did not receive any support, financial or otherwise, from Hassan Piker. Hassan never even reached out to me privately to offer words of support. Speaking honestly, I found his indifference to my suffering hurtful, especially after he hinted he might help me behind the scenes. It felt like he wanted to receive credit from the public for helping me, without providing any. As to the GoFundMe money, to the extent there are any remaining funds after I pay my attorney's fees, I have agreed to pay the remaining funds to the clients. The funds will not go to anyone else, including Demins or Frogan, to defend their lawsuits. For the record, I have agreed to cooperate with the clients in their litigation against the H3 Snark mods for promoting my live stream to the extent that I am able. I will offer my support, including testifying under oath to everything I have just stated, to help their cause. I also want to take the opportunity to acknowledge other misconduct and bad behavior I have exhibited online. For example, weaponizing the death of Asmongold's mother was inexcusable. I should know better because I have 3 disabled people that rely on me. Moving forward, I will do better. I also want to apologize to the crew of the H3 podcast, particularly AB and Olivia. I apologize for calling them cowards for not quitting their jobs. That was a shameful attack on 2 people who deeply care about Palestine and Palestinian people. AB, along with his wife Lena, have done more than I have ever done for the Palestinian people, including raising over $100,000 in charity. I recognize that they have actually made Palestinian lives better, and my online antagonism and trolling has not. I apologize to Ethan and Gila personally. I have said extremely mean and cruel things about both of them, particularly my misogynistic attacks against Gila that never should have been said. I also want to acknowledge the pervasive problem of anti-Semitism in leftist spaces. It should concern all of us. I condemn it and will not participate in it. To that end, I wish the clients success in enforcing TED Entertainment's copyright and protecting the legal rights of online content creators.
Wow, just really the most sincerity I've ever heard in my life. I mean, clearly, this is a woman who really passionately and earnestly means everything she says. I feel the sincerity from over here. It's great. Just great. All right, let's watch it again with some exciting commentary from yours truly.
I want to begin by stating I take responsibility for infringing the content nuke. The lawsuit was not frivolous. When I said the lawsuit was frivolous and based on misogyny, it was to garner sympathy, protect my own reputation, and retaliate against the clients.
Yeah, as an IP lawyer, although my practice obviously was patent law, but you know, for as an IP lawyer, I can quite assure you that it was not frivolous. It was the very opposite of frivolous. It was the most meritorious suit possibly in the history of ever. Not only because it was clear on its face, which, you know, it was clear on its face, you know, you can just go see what they did, but the admissions, man, the admissions. Yes, I am doing this specifically and directly and for the purpose of depriving them views and depriving them revenue. Please come watch it on my channel. Don't watch it on them. Explicitly don't watch it on their channel because that would be an unethical thing to do. Instead, come watch it on my channel and I'll get all the views and all the revenue, and that will be ethical because they won't get any views and any revenue. Please come to my market substitute. It is the same, literally in every single way. There's no need to go over there. You can come here and get literally the same thing. Great. Yeah, that's just great. So if it wasn't obvious on its face, the statements really, really helped. Just really, really helped. So it was the exact opposite of frivolous. It was the most meritorious suit in the history of ever, pretty much. So there's that. And she said misogyny because it's a buzzword that she likes to use when it's something she doesn't agree with. It's not really misogyny. It's just you did a bad thing and you're being held accountable. So it's not so much misogyny as, you know, take responsibility for what you did. But, you know, okay, you know, fair enough. Carrying on.
This lawsuit has given me a greater understanding of copyright protection.
Bullshit. I don't believe this lawsuit has given you any understanding of copyright protection. It really should have. It really should have. Your lawyer should have explained it to you in many, many words, I'm sure. But did it really sink in? Do you really understand it? I'm sure all the information was imparted to you, but do you understand it? I don't know, man. I'm not sold. I'm not feeling the understanding over here. I have a quiz I'd like to give you. I'd like to give you a test on some IP principles and see how you do, to see if you really understand it. I don't know, man. I'm not sold.
People's copyrights and the importance of protecting copyrights in the online content creation community. It is important for the entire content creation community to respect the intellectual property rights of other creators.
That'd be
and
good.
I will adhere to the lessons I've learned throughout this process going forward.
Uh-huh. I don't know about that either. She's got to adhere to the IP lessons. I don't know, man. Okay, we'll see, I guess.
I also want to make clear that I did not receive any support, financial or otherwise, from Hassan Piker. Hassan never even reached out to me privately to offer words of support. Speaking honestly, I found his indifference to my suffering hurtful, especially after he hinted he might help me behind the scenes.
Now, personally, I don't know whether or not that's a fair characterization of what Hassan Piker did. Hassan Piker said, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I'm not sure I can get it word for word, but he said something like, if I chose to support it, you wouldn't know about it. I don't know that that's an implication he would support it. So I don't know that's necessarily a fair read on what Hassan said. I can't believe I'm defending Hassan in this statement because I don't really care for him very much, but I don't know that's a fair characterization of what Hassan said. But in any event, he didn't reach out to them. So, these beta orbiters of Hassan who love to orbit him, when they got into trouble, Hassan just cut them loose. So, I mean, your attempts to be a beta orbiter and be in his orbit, didn't really work out when, push came to shove. It's like, fend for yourselves. Which, yeah, okay. Maybe you should reconsider who you hang around or who you're trying to impress. I don't know. Giving her a shot.
It felt like he wanted to receive credit from the public for helping me without providing any. As to the GoFundMe money, to the extent there are any remaining funds after I pay my attorney's fees, I have agreed to pay the remaining funds to the clients.
I wonder if there's any payments beyond that. She doesn't specify. She just says, as to the GoFundMe, anything beyond what I pay my attorneys, I'll give over to the clients. That doesn't necessarily mean that's all that she's giving. I don't know either way. But I don't know whether or not there's any payment beyond that or other material being exchanged. There could be. She just spoke to what the GoFundMe is. She didn't speak to a broader principle, but, okay.
The funds will not go to anyone else, including Demins or Frogan, to defend their lawsuits. For the record, I have agreed to cooperate with the clients in their litigation against the H3 Snark mods for promoting my live stream to the extent that I am able. I will offer my support, including testifying under oath to everything I have just stated, to help their cause.
Yeah, that's the biggie, right? The continuing agreement to cooperate and the continuing agreement of testimony. One would presume that the settlement also included turning over everything she knows. Now, whether or not they received that in advance of signing the paper or not is not necessarily clear. But presumably the settlement is like, yeah, you have to give us all the text messages you have, DMs you have. I would insist on it. Give us everything that, we were going to get in discovery anyway. We want it. Obviously the discovery is like a huge thing. And then we want you as a person to testify as to its authenticity, so that we can get to authenticity and issues like that. So basically we flipped you is basically what happened. We have flipped you against the other two people. So she was smart enough to be the first one in the prisoner's dilemma to raise her hand and say she wants a deal. So she gets out of it, presumably with minimal scars. And she also gets out, but the exchange is she has to give over everything she has, I'm sure, and then testify an oath as to that's truthfulness, its authenticity, and everything else, and patterns and practices and all the rest of it. So that's valuable to Ethan Klein, especially as he's going after the moderators. Some of those moderators have liability as contributory infringers, not necessarily all of them, but some of them probably do. And that will be very helpful, especially as there are DMs or messages or anything that might reflect understandings beyond what's available in the public, to the extent there are communications from the moderators in among themselves and between these people that suggest or detail the conspiracy, that would be really helpful. And then she can often authenticate that. So she presumably is giving all that stuff. So that's a lot of value to Ethan Klein. So that's not nothing.
I also want to take the opportunity to acknowledge other misconduct and bad behavior I have exhibited online. For example, weaponizing the death of Asmongold's mother was inexcusable. I should know better because I have 3 disabled people that rely on me.
Now, interesting, this statement here relating to Asmongold's mother. Like, what is this doing here? Because this statement obviously was part of the negotiated settlement of the case. So this statement's only here because one of the parties wanted it in here. Did Kaceytron want to do it? I'm going to go with no, because that doesn't make any sense. So it was Ethan Klein or Hila Klein who wanted it in here. Now, why did they want to do that? No, there's a couple reasons. One would be that they put it in there because they thought it was, egregious, and they wanted it in there, just as a friendly how do you do, just to throw that in there, to validate a friend or to rectify an egregious conduct. The other reason it might be in there is to help give Asmongold potential hooks for a potential lawsuit of his own by her admitting to doing that, and the wrongness of it, and the fact that she should have been aware of it, right? Because of her own life experience, that could show a recklessness because she has knowledge from her own care of disabled people. She should therefore have been able to speak with greater care. So perhaps this is an attempt to give Asmongold a layup for whatever reason. Maybe they're friends, maybe they just want to do it to help a bro, maybe they, whatever. But, Asmongold could obviously use this in a future lawsuit if he were inclined to do so, especially as it might relate to statements involving him. Statements involving the dead mother, less so, because you can't really defame a dead person. But, statements that she made against him could be used as fire in that. So there's a lot of potential avenues there. It could be fun.
Moving forward, I will do better. I also want to apologize to the crew of the H3 podcast, particularly AB and Olivia. I apologize for calling them cowards for not quitting their jobs. That was a shameful attack on 2 people who deeply care about Palestine and Palestinian people.
I love the Palestine and Palestinian people. It's not just that, they're good people, specifically that they care about Palestinian people, because that's got to rub her like deeply, be given her own causes and her own beliefs. It's like, they're specifically good people for the cause that I believe in. That's rough, man. Woof, nice one.
AB, along with his wife Lena, have done more than I have ever done for the Palestinian people, including raising over $100,000 in charity.
Yeah, you've done nothing, have you, Kaceytron? You're just a worthless person who's not actually taken any effort to actually do anything. You just like talking about it. But you don't put your money where your mouth is, like so many people. Yep, noted.
I recognize that they have actually made Palestinian lives better, and my online antagonism and trolling has not. I apologize to Ethan and Hila personally. I have said extremely mean and cruel things about both of them, particularly my misogynistic attacks against Hila that never should have been said. I also want to acknowledge the pervasive problem of anti-Semitism in leftist spaces. It should concern all of us.
That line probably hurt her too. And it's true, man. That's true. I don't have to convince you guys it's true. There's a lot of anti-Semitism on the left, and they seem very open about it and not like worried about it. So that is definitely a fair thing, but it must have burned her ass to say it. I'll tell you that.
Condemn it and will not participate in it.
Really? No more anti-Semitism from you? We'll see. I don't know, man.
To that end, I wish the client's success in enforcing TED Entertainment's copyright and protecting the legal rights of online content creators.
Uh-huh. Well, I suppose you do wish him luck, in so much as it's not your ass on the line anymore. So that's nice. All right. So now we have a brief reaction from Ethan Klein himself, so we'll watch his reaction to this wonderful thing.
What a heartfelt. I mean, like genuinely, and I'm gonna say something. Kaceytron, we've said it continually throughout this. You are extraordinarily funny and a very talented person, and I wish you all the best in the future, in your future endeavors. And I know you will continue to make people laugh, and to and to continue to bring joy to people, and in that regard, I think you are extremely funny and very clever. So, and I accept your apology. I do, and I appreciate all the sincerity and just all the specific. A lot of the stuff in there was really, I think, warranted, and I'm glad that she's.
I mean, Ethan, we all know that you wrote it, or at least approved of it. So it's like, yeah, I agree with the statement. No shit, you agree with the statement. It's in the settlement that you made with her. So you literally approved it in the most literal sense. Of course you approve her statement, literally approved it. Yeah.
You know, come to terms with a lot of it. And I appreciate it. I really think she's turned a new leaf. I do. What a
Yeah, well, I'm less convinced about the new leaf thing, but presumably the settlement also includes a mutual non-disparagement clause. So he has to say, he can't say mean things about her, but I think the sarcasm got through pretty well on that one. That was pretty rich. All right, now we're going to read a statement from Demins, who has some thoughts. She is one of the people who is still being sued in this thing. And I would imagine her settlement opportunities have gone down, right? I mean, usually that's how it works. You know, the first person to flip gets the deal. You know, as further people flip, the deal gets less and less attractive. It's like, I don't need you as much anymore. So not to say that Ethan won't settle with Demins, but the settlement terms, I would imagine, would be less attractive than the ones he gave Kaceytron. Just a thought. So her liability has increased in a practical manner. So let's see what she has to say as she begins to continue to fight against the sea. Demins says, this apology, which I can only assume was somehow forced to extract a settlement, was painful to listen to. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that much. It was absolutely part of the settlement. I mean, obviously, duh. And it was painful to listen to because obviously she didn't mean it. But, you know, it's absurd and ironic that Ethan accuses Hassan of being a puppeteer while LARPing as a comic book villain in this way. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. While it's unfortunate that Ethan appears to have been able to exert control over her in this way, that's how settlements work, I'm very happy that Kaceytron was given opportunity to minimize the harm to her family, avoid the risk of losing her home, and move on from the Ethan lawsuit. Well, I don't know how appreciative you're going to be in the future as she turns what I guess would be the equivalent of state's evidence, although Ethan Klein is not the state, plaintiff's evidence. And you're not going to be super happy when the rat leaves the scurrying ship and winds up testifying against you in court probably someday. You do realize your exposure here, right? I mean, she would know about the text messages and DMs and Discord messages and whatever else form they might take that she has exchanged with Kaceytron. She does remember, presumably, all those text messages, DMs, Reddit comments, Facebook comments, Twitter comments, whatever, right? She does remember all those things, right? Maybe she's not remembering it, but she'll be reminded shortly, I'm sure. I want to make several things clear. Go ahead, my friend. My trial date is October 26, 2026. I look forward to beating Ethan in court. There is no way on this earth you are going to beat Ethan in court. You are toast. You are super toast. If you survive a motion for summary judgment against you, I'll be a little amazed, to be honest. Your odds of making it to trial are not great. When Ethan files for summary judgment against you, he's almost certainly going to win. If it does go to trial, you're almost certainly going to lose. What fantasy are you living in that you think you can win? What fantasy is that? I don't know where you're coming off with. Maybe you're just trying to appear strong for the sake of strong, but you're going down and you're going down hard. The case against you is rock solid. Okay. While Kacey and likely Frogan have caved to Ethan, no sign of Frogan caving yet, which is a decision I doubt they have made lightly. Settling like this is not an option for me. It's probably not an option for you because Ethan won't give you that, right? You can't settle if Ethan won't give you the settlement. So it's probably not an option because, it's not an option for me because it would set a precedent that endangers the financial security of any streamer that creates reaction content. No, it wouldn't. It doesn't create a precedent. First of all, settlement doesn't create a precedent of any kind. Second of all, even if Ethan wins against you in trial, it also doesn't set a precedent because this is a paint by numbers copyright infringement suit. There's going to be nothing interesting about it from a legal posture. This case isn't going to set any new law. It's not going to set any new precedent. This is going to be a completely paint by the numbers, rote application of copyright law. I can just do it in my head. I can do the entire trial in my head because it's so paint by the numbers. There's nothing precedential about this. For that matter, when Ethan Klein won his lawsuit against, relating to his reaction content, when he won that lawsuit, it also didn't set any precedent because that case was also paint by the numbers. At least to me, I read that case and I'm like, there's nothing happening here, right? It was just a standard rote, normal, paint by numbers, fair use decision. There was nothing special about it. If this case goes against you, which it almost certainly will, there's nothing special about it. It doesn't set a precedent. It won't set a precedent if it goes to trial. It won't set a precedent if it goes to appeal. Because every layer of the system is just going to go, no shit. There's no precedent here. Absolutely not. So it doesn't set a precedent either practically or even legally. Okay. If you create content that involves commenting on videos on Twitch or you enjoy consuming reaction content, you should be on my side. If you don't believe me, please read ahead and let me convince you. Okay, sell me on this. This should be great. I watched and reacted to Ethan's highly anticipated content nuke shortly after it aired. Make no mistake, my coverage more than doubled Ethan's video in length. Yeah, that's not necessarily the ticket. Ethan's video spanned roughly 104 minutes. I spent 230 minutes reacting to it, critiquing, and commenting his video and the content, during which I paused 210 times. That means I added 120% of runtime in commentary, on average pausing every 30 seconds to every 36 seconds to add commentary. The commentary length is substantially more than Asmongold, XQC, or any other streamers in YouTube's who watch the content nuke in full. Well, even if that's true, the statements, please come watch it with me, please don't watch it with them, the commerciality aspect of it and market substitute factors are going to crush you like a bug. So even assuming you have transformity, congratulations, you might have one of the four use factors, but the other factors are going against you and going against you pretty hard, particularly in light of your own statements. Plus, just because it was double in length doesn't mean that all that was commentary or critique or any of those things. So, no, that's just because it's longer doesn't mean you're adding or transforming it. That's not how it works. It's not based on the length comparison, right? It could be 5 minutes longer. If those 5 minutes are particularly rich commentary, then, that's all you need. And if it's 4 hours of, just silence, that isn't enough. So it's not a length comparison thing. That's not how it works, man. I like how on average she pauses every 30 seconds to 36 seconds. Like, yeah, if you just divide the numbers. Yeah. As we know, Ethan decided not to sue Asmongold, XQC, or anyone other than the three of us. He doesn't have to. Even assuming he could sue other people, he doesn't have to. This isn't trademark. In trademark, you have to police your rights, or you can lose them. Although I tend to think it's a little bit harder to lose your rights from failure to police than most people think. Although, of course, most lawyers don't want to find out. So most lawyers representing their company are going to be very aggressive. I don't think they have to be aggressive, but they don't want to find out where the line is, so they're just going to be aggressive about it, which, fair enough. But I think it's a little bit harder than is generally understood, but, that's an opinion. As to copyright, that's not a thing. You don't lose copyright by failing to police it. So he cannot sue as many people as he wants. He can just sue the people he wants. He can be as targeted as he wants. That's his prerogative. So, okay. The defense, everyone else was speeding. Therefore, you can't pull me over or ticket me for speeding is not a thing. I know everyone else is speeding. I know the cop only caught you. I'm really sorry about that, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. You drew the unlucky number. Sorry. You let everyone else get by with speeding. I don't know what to tell you. I'm one cop and I can only pull over one person at the time, and it's you. That's not a defense. It doesn't work. Sorry. This notion is frivolous and a fabrication. Oh, okay. I missed a line. But he wouldn't sue them. They didn't intentionally try to deprive him of revenue. And you yourself said you did. You sure did. This notion is frivolous and a fabrication. Is it, though? Ethan claims he's pursuing his claim against me only because some of the claim malicious content on my part. What? There are two statements that Ethan falsely claims demonstrates my intent, along with his conspiracy theory about collusion with Reddit moderators, none of whom I've ever communicated with. Well, super. If you've never communicated with any of them, I'm sure your DMs and Discovery will reveal that. Okay. Well, and also, by the way, to have a conspiracy, you don't necessarily need to communicate with every person in the conspiracy. If you communicate with anyone in the conspiracy, that's the bad part of joining conspiracies. And the fact that the right hand doesn't know what the left hand knows doesn't matter either, because everyone's jointly and severally liable for the conspiracy. I'm really sorry that you didn't talk to these three people in the conspiracy, but guess what? You're still bound to it anyway, because that's how conspiracies work. Don't join conspiracies. It's a bad time, man. The first statement in my response to a chat message I read out: we're relying on you to stay live so we don't have to give the nuke views. And then I replied, yeah, I'm going to stream it. Since he's confirmed it's coming out today, I'm going to stream it. I hope this is self-evident, but it'd be bizarre for me to take the opportunity to bring attention to this group of people and how they actually should watch his video on his channel. It isn't my place, I don't care. And making a big deal out of it would only encourage the zealotry Ethan is upset about. I merely acknowledged I was going to react to it and moved on. Drawing a borrowed narrative based on chat messages I did not write is delusional. No, it's not really delusional. It's evidence. It's not delusional. Whether or not it represents your intent or not is a debatable question. Just because I didn't respond to part of a chat message myself doesn't necessarily mean I endorse it. So, because there's a lot of chat messages and I sometimes misread them or don't read them in full or only get the gist. So I certainly understand that. But by the same token, it could infer your intent. So it's some evidence of your intent. So it's not delusional to say it potentially reflects your intent. It potentially doesn't, but it's not absurd by the same token. The second statement is a throwaway shill comment I say after the video by signing off. Well, guys, if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, follow, subscribe, throw a prime if you like my content. Yeah, that sounds like you're trying to be a market substitute a little bit. As an aside, the statement is factual. Almost certainly, if someone's watching my coverage, they have no interest in watching Ethan's video. Without the addition of critical commentary, never would have. So you're saying you're a market substitute? Oh, okay. At most, you can say that this is a mean-spirited comment in poor taste. Making a joke like this is too far. Ethan Klein deserves more respect. We agree to disagree. Well, it's not so much we who agree to disagree as potentially the jury who may agree to disagree with you in the future. Unfortunately, their disagreement with you comes with repercussions. So assuming you make it past summary judgment, which is one hell of an assumption. I wouldn't be so sure about making it past that summary judgment motion, man. Woof. I humbly request we take this opportunity to question Ethan's framing of events and call a spade a spade. Ethan is bullying people who said things about him he did not like, and he can do that only because he has more money than them. Well, also because he's legally in the right. In doing so, at least his lawsuit against me, he's setting a disastrous precedent. No, he's not. If I have to keep telling people this, I will keep telling people this. They're not setting a precedent. I'm sorry. He's just not, okay? It's not a precedent, all right? It is a routine, by the numbers, boilerplate application of fair use and copyright law. There is no precedent that's occurring here. There will be no precedent that occurs here, okay? The court is going to very simply just they're going to pick up the coloring book, okay? They're going to pick up the coloring book and they're just going to color in the lines, with the crowns based on the colors. And then they'll have a nice picture, okay? That's how simple this is. At the end, how simple this is, right? There's going to be a lot of faff around, in the meantime, but at the end, it's just a coloring book, okay? We just colored in the diagram using the nice crowns. There is no precedent here. Some people seem to think that there's precedent here, and there's not. If Disney or MGM or, I don't know, pick your favorite, big corporation of choice, right? If you, I don't know, stream the entirety of The Lion King, okay, because they streamed the whole of it. So if you stream the entirety of the commentary of The Lion King and said, I'm doing it so Disney doesn't get views, and then provided minimal reaction content, and Disney sued your ass and won, that also does not send a precedent. The precedent would be, wow, you can't infringe copyright law. What a shocker, right? What a shocker. This deep revelation that we've got. Wow, if you stream the entirety of The Lion King and you say, if you didn't want to give Disney any views and you provide minimal reaction content and Disney sued and won, wow, what a deep and shocking revelation of precedent that would be. That is not a thing, man. It's not happening. You're not special. You are very not special. Well, there's no precedent here. Fuck you. In doing so, at least his lawsuit against me, he's saying a disastrous precedent for the corner of the internet. And my hope is others in our community with resources like Ethan's do not follow his small footsteps. Please donate to my legal fund. There's no way your legal fund is going to be enough. Every penny donated has gone exclusively to court costs and fees. That I believe. Because this is going to be fucking expensive as hell. And nowhere else. As stated earlier, my trial date is October 26th for the moment. That might change. I look forward to being Ethan Court. That's not happening. Ideally with assistance. Thanks you for your attention to this matter. Well, my intention is definitely to the matter, my friend. And not so much. I think you're going to have a real hard time convincing, maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll convince the court that there's enough commentary and critique to transform, and even if that happens, it's still a paint by the numbers case. So if you're able to convince the jury that there's enough transformative use and enough commentary and critique to survive, factor one of the fair use analysis, and fair use, and that's so strong you convince them that the fourth factor isn't as disastrous as we've been saying, so it wasn't quite the admission we all thought it was, right? So if you're somehow able to swing factor 1 and 4 in your favor and you win, that also doesn't set any precedent. You just simply convince the jury the facts are differently than I assess them, and the jury will have said, well, we think it's more transformative and we don't think she was saying as much market substitute. And I'll be like, oh, okay. All right, well, jury, that's your province to make that decision. I assess it, much more unfavorably to Demins over here. But if the jury ultimately agrees with Demins, I'll be like, oh, okay. You were able to convince them the factors swung in your favor. And then it will still be a paint by numbers decision. It will still be a paint by numbers decision. Because at that point, all we're saying is the fair use factor 1 is more in your favor than we thought. and fair use factor 4 is less against you than we thought. Bingo bango, you win your fair use. Wow, amazing, deep. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. So it doesn't set a precedent either way, and good luck on winning. I don't really see it, but juries can do weird things, so I guess there's some chance for you. Let's just read some things about this thing and see what people are saying on the Twitters or the X's or whatever we're calling it these days. Asmongold has apology not accepted.
Inexcusable. For example, weaponizing the death of Asmongold's mother was inexcusable.
It sure was. That's why it's not getting excused. Apology not accepted. You did this because of a lawyer.
Based. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. All remaining GoFundMe raised goes to the clients. Yeah, if there's anything left. Some guy says I was right. Hassan never helped Kaceytron. It was lying by hinting he would. He wanted praise but didn't want to risk a dime. Yep. What are you guys saying in chat? Let's see what some of you guys in chat have been saying all this time. Let's just go back to the top and read some of your comments. They all have listed Admiral Akbar pretty much. The leftovers Reddit is overflowing with salty goodness. I bet Reddit is overflowing with salty goodness. Not for least the reason some of those people probably have liability. I don't think the entirety of H3, I don't think the entirety of the moderator team has liability. I don't think merely being a moderator is going to do it. I think you're going to have to show something specific that each moderator did, which maybe you can get there. Maybe you can, but I don't think it's necessarily obvious. Some of them, I think for sure have liability, but I don't know about the entirety of the moderator team. That seems a little bit much, but hey, we'll see what the discovery reveals on that. So it's a little bit early to call that play. Yeah, hey guys, watch this so you can deprive them of views, but is bad. Sure, yeah. They probably could have gone away with it had not been babbling. Yeah. David A. Hill says it's transformative. They're making a statement on the nature of self-incrimination. Ethan wanted it to seem like a hostage video. Maybe he did. Maybe he wanted it that way for whatever reason. Maybe that's what he desired. Could be. Denham's statement on Casey Selman implied Frogan will be knuckling under soon. Yeah, maybe she has inside knowledge, or maybe she's just wish casting. Personally, I think she's wish casting. I would bet against a quick settlement with respect to Frogan. Or if there is a quick settlement with respect to Frogan, I would imagine in some ways it would be more painful. Now, that pain may or may not be obvious because the settlement terms are secret, right? We know, for example, that Kaceytron said, as to the GoFundMe, what's ever left after my lawyers, I will give to the clients. But she made no representations that was all she'd give to the clients. She didn't make that representation. So we don't know what, if any, other consideration she gave. Now, presumably, the other part of the other consideration that she gave is access to all the DMs, Twitters, messages, text messages, group messages, secret messages, and also her continuing cooperation. So she definitely gave that, but whether or not she gave any other financial or pecuniary consideration, if we want to be fancy about it, whether or not she gave any pecuniary compensation beyond the GoFundMe is not necessarily clear. She might have. And if Frogan settles, she might have to give more of that, and it may not necessarily be obvious what she had to give. So, but I would imagine it wouldn't be as favorable. Just a guess. Yeah, someone said she can't even properly put the script somewhere near the camera. Yeah, I just have a teleprompter app on my phone when I record VODs, and I just put the phone on top of my camera, and it works pretty great. So if you need an idea of how to do it, that works pretty great, right? I can't really afford a teleprompter, nor do I want the space. So I just have a teleprompting app on my phone, and then I just put the phone on top of my camera, and it works. And then I look right into the camera. So if you need a solution, that works. Hassan said if he did help her, no one would know about it, and then gave a look like wink, wink. Yeah, I'll let you interpret what Hassan did or did not do with his eyes yourself, because you can see it. I'm not going to interpret on top of it. I feel like they're all screwed from the get-go, and this is standard prisoner's dilemma. That's my impression. This is just standard prisoner's dilemma. And Kaceytron was the one that decided to break. So, there you go. You think he mentioned Asmongold so he would respond to it? I think Asmongold would have responded to it in any event. So I doubt that had anything to do with it. But, fair enough. She said that Asmongold killed his mom. I'm aware of the statements that she's made. I understand. She says some pretty reprehensible things. She managed to limit her liability to the extent of funding she received? No, not necessarily. We don't know that. See, this is why I'm telling you, David. You have to listen to her statement very carefully. Listen to her statement like a lawyer. Listen to her statement like a lawyer. Did she say that she had no other liability, financial or pecuniary? Did she say that? No, she didn't say that. She simply said, all she said was, as to the GoFundMe, anything that I don't give to my lawyers, I'll give over to Ethan. She made no representations that was the extent or totality of her financial or pecuniary compensation. So we don't know that she limited her liability that way. We have no idea. But yeah, you got to listen carefully, man. Got to listen carefully. Don't make conclusions that they're not saying. I'm betting her lawyer, if any, said hell no when she asked whether it was a good deal. Good idea? What do you mean she didn't ask? A settlement sets the precedent of you being a pushover and loser? Maybe. But she had to settle. Well, it's not that she had to settle. It's just that she was dead to rights. So, I mean, she can settle or she can lose in court. I'm not sure which makes you a bigger loser, but either way. What's the operative precedent? I don't know. Bog standard? I don't know. There's a legal term for the opposite precedent. Yeah, it's just bog standard. Yeah. Copyright holders aren't forced to pursue their rights, so what Asmon or XQC did or didn't do is irrelevant? Exactly so. Do Kleenex and Tylenol have limitations on trademarks due to public use? No. Kleenex, well, no, Kleenex did lose its rights. Yeah, Kleenex did lose its rights. It's not Kleenex, it's Kleenex brand. Yeah, Kleenex did lose its rights. They lost their trademark. Tylenol is still holding on. The one that amazes me that didn't lose its rights is Xerox, because Xerox was the term for copying for a while, and Xerox somehow managed to avoid genericide of their mark, which is amazing. But Xerox held on somehow. But famous ones that lost their rights: Linoleum. Linoleum lost its rights. Aspirin lost its rights. Escalator lost its rights. Thermos, did Thermos lose its rights? I think it did. But Tylenol's still holding on. It's crazy that Kyle from Tenacious D does a law channel. You know it, baby. Oh, can I clarify what paint by numbers means? It's just rote, obvious, basic. It's just basic application, simple. There's nothing complicated about it. Like, it might be factually complicated in some ways, but the legal aspect is not complicated, is what I mean by paint by numbers. The legal aspect is not complicated. The factual case could be a bit complicated, but once you know the facts, the legal analysis is easy. So just tell me what the facts are, and I'll just tell you what the answer is, right? That's what I mean by paint by numbers. It's just rote, obvious, basic, direct, clear. There's nothing special, simple, because it's bog standard. That's the idea I'm trying to express. Ditto was company name once too. There you go. Cool. All right, so let's read some of the stuff on X, some other stuff on X. Don't they renew rights every year, every 10 years? Yes, for trademark. How do you lose your rights? Genericide. Yeah, genericide is how you lose your rights. A trademark, you can't have a trademark for a generic term. So, grocery store would be a generic, right? So if you literally called your grocery store, right? If you literally called it that, you can't have a trademark in it because that's generic. That's what they're all called, right? Publix is a kind of grocery store. You know, Wegmans is a kind of grocery store. You know, Harris Teeter is a kind of grocery store. Publix is a kind of grocery store. H-E-B is a kind of grocery store. But grocery store is the generic term, right? Well, I have to be able to call it something. And so grocery store is generic, right? So you can't call you can call your store a grocery store. You can do that. It's just that you can't have a trademark in it because it's generic, right? So the way you lose a trademark, other than by failing to register it, is through it becoming generic, and which we call genericide, to be fancy. So when your mark stops being a trademark, when it stops being a mark, right? The whole point of a trademark is that it's a source identifier for the consumer. The consumer can look at this mark and be like, I know where that comes from because I know the source of that thing. When it stops serving that purpose, it's no longer a mark. So basically you lose it by the public using your mark as a generic term. So linoleum was a trademark and then everyone called it linoleum and then it wasn't, and then it became generic. Escalator was a trademark and then everyone called it that, and so it lost its rights. Aspirin was a trademark, but then everyone called it that, and so it lost its rights. It's called genericide. It happens. That's how it happens. And Google was at risk for this for a long time, because there was like, please stop using our name as a verb. Please stop saying to Google things, because of exactly this reason. So Google was at threat. Xerox somehow held on for dear life. I don't know how, but yeah, that stuff. Now it's Barris aspirin. I believe it is still a trademark in Canada, though, but not in the US. I believe aspirin is still a trademark in Canada. The US, not so much. Yeah. Hasman on stream demonizing Ethan for going after Kaceytron, completely ignoring the part where she called Hassan for not helping her. True. It's crazy you can be a trademark in that way. It's a victim of your own success. Yeah. That's a thing, though. Yeah, it's a thing. Being a victim of your own success is a thing. Yeah. Yeah. So sad. So sad. It's a sad, sad situation. Yeah. So Xerox spent lots of money trying to keep their mark intact. Like they try to get people to stop saying Xerox. Google spent money trying to stop it. It's like, it's definitely a thing, man. The IP lawyers know. Kaceytron, as part of the settlement, gave all our funds to GoFundMe to H3, so Ethan pulled up all the top donors to thank them personally. Oh, this is funny. I got to read this one. This is good.
Paulu Kingston, thank you for the 500. Shauna M. Elizabeth Adams. iDubbbz. iDubbbz, thank you so much separately. Wait, this is so funny. I actually never thought about this. Anissa's like, by the way, Anissa doesn't make money. We all know that. She's never made money. So iDubbbz is down here on the list getting cucked with the 420. Anissa spends $1,000 to get on the top tier list. I'm sorry, but I find that hilarious. Either way,
Gobi likes what he sees.
Either way, $1 is $1, and I want to thank you both equally for
Nice.
Especially Anissa, though, who obviously runs the finances in the situation. Also want to thank Cruel World Happy Mind Madison, who was just popped in graciously right before the settlement to donate $100. Frankly, I think you owe me a lot more than that based on the damages you've done, but a gesture is a gesture, and I appreciate it, and I thank you, Madison, for being
Nice.
so kind and thoughtful in that regard.
Wait a second. How does she have a GoFundMe to raise money for the lawsuit? I thought GoFundMe didn't allow that kind of thing. I thought GoFundMe didn't. Is it only criminal cases they don't allow fundraising for? Because I thought they stopped doing that. Oh, well. Anyways. Only criminal? Okay, fair enough. I shared my story about Kaceytron and how she ostracized and bullied me when I was an orphan teen who modded for her and then she blocked me. Just a reminder for when she says to feel bad about her getting sued by H3H3 for maliciously streaming content. Yep.
For example, weaponizing the death of Asmongold was inexcusable.
It sure was. That's why it's not getting excused. Apology not accepted. You did this because of a lawyer. It's so nasty. I really, you're loving this? I absolutely am. The only thing that could have made it better is if she was crying. I hate this bitch. And you are going to go back on this. And you are going to, signal and imply, and you're going to fuck up again.
Yep. I think it's a very high probability.
And
it's worth noting, by the way, that the settlement, of course, includes it because it would be insane for it not to include it. The settlement includes a provision that she can't at any time in the future say anything that would undermine the settlement or undermine her statement. Because of course it does. Of course the settlement says that, right? It's like first of all, you can't disparage me just, generally. So there's that. But secondly, you also can't in the future say anything that would contradict your statement or your statement that was part of the settlement. So if she tries to get too cute or tries to disown her statement at some point in the future, which you feel like there's a pretty decent chance of that happening, what are the odds that she's going to try to walk it back or disown it or try to undercut it in some way? She can try to be cute. She can try to be cute, but you got to be careful, man. If you're too cute by half, right? So he can sue her again for breach of the settlement if she ever does that. So she has to mind her P's and Q's forever. So good luck with all that. Good times, man.
So I know.
What if the judge hallucinates a fifth factor? Well, to be fair, the four factors are explicitly non-exclusive. So even the statute says so. The four-factor tests are non-exclusive. So yes, if you can convince a judge that there's a fifth factor, then yes, you can do that. Now, that would set new law. If you can convince a judge that there's a fifth factor out there that we have yet to bring into the copyright fair use analysis, you can do that. You absolutely can do that. There's a secret fifth factor. I'd like to tell you about it, and I'd like you, the court, to adopt the secret fifth factor, and it goes in my favor. And if you can do that, and you can win, and you can survive appeal, that would set new precedent. So yes, I suppose there's that. If Demins can hallucinate a secret fifth factor and convince the judge and convince the Court of Appeals, we may actually have precedent. I don't have a lot of high hopes on that. I don't have a lot of high hopes she's going to be able to hallucinate a fifth factor because the four-factor test has been around for a while. Also, originally, it was common law. The statute came later. The four-factor test was invented by the courts, and then Congress codified it later. So it isn't even when the statute was passed. It goes back even before that by at least like 20 or 30 years. So it's been around for like 100 years, probably at this point. So if you can hallucinate a fifth factor that no court has figured out for the last 100 years, then Godspeed. And you may set new precedent. I don't have a lot of hopes on that though. But good luck with that plan.
she doesn't know this, but this put her in a position for something that's going to happen in the future. I don't know if Ethan knows this. I think Ethan does know this. But I'm not going to say what it is because I want it to happen.
Also, can I just say how I like Asmund has that little music under his streaming? That's kind of cool. Maybe I should have music under my stream. Just really subtle music that just like sets the mood setting music. Maybe that's the way to fly as a streamer. Could be a good idea. Maybe I should look into it. But yeah, what is he referring to? He could be, I mean, he could be referring to a lot of things, but you know, the most likely thing he's referring to is a lawsuit relating to her prior statements. And now this statement helps him in such a lawsuit. So maybe he's going to go out for blood. Could be fun. Or he's thinking that it exposes her to some other liability from an unknown third party in some way. I don't know who that would be, but maybe Asmongold has an idea. So there's something about her statement that is somehow exposing her to some sort of increased liability, either now or in the future. So yeah, it definitely could hurt her in a future proceeding by Asmongold or someone else.
I do. And I know if I say what it is, it'll lower the probability of it happening. I understand. I apologize for vague posting, but
yeah, if it refers to his own lawsuit, it probably wouldn't decrease the probability of it happening. But, maybe he's just being cautious.
promise you it will be worth it. Do you remember last time I was vague posting? Was that worth it? I think it was.
You think he's referring to Reddit? Yeah, it could be that Reddit too. That would make sense. Reddit here has some exposure. I mean, but that was easily enough to figure out. We already figured that out. The Reddit moderators, at least some of the Reddit moderators, have exposure. Presumably, Kaceytron has information directly relating to some of the moderators in relation to them that would facilitate a lawsuit against them. Reddit as a whole is unlikely to have liability because of Section 230 protections. To get to Reddit, you'd have to show something directly they did other than hosting it. So unless a Reddit admin is involved or something, unlikely, or unless one of the moderators is also a Reddit employee. If one of the moderators is a Reddit employee, then maybe you could get somewhere with that. But could be. It's possible. All right, so that was a nice little statement. That was a nice little statement. So hopefully Asmongold will get some blood. That'd be fun. I'm not sure exactly what this image is supposed to represent, but it's fun to look at. Curtis says, I tend to leave towards forgiveness in most cases. That being said, she's some vile shit, and he owes her no forgiveness, especially since she was saying this shit 3 days ago. Uh-huh. It's always facts don't care about your feelings unless it's about the fact that your fave left his mother living in squalor while he had millions of dollars. Well, my understanding is that's the way his mother wanted it. That's my understanding of the situation, that his mother, for whatever combination of reasons, wanted that. I think Asmund has talked about this, and I don't believe I'm talking out of turn, but his mother, as I understand it, had serious mental health issues, and he was trying to care for her as best as he could, and I don't think she wanted her own place. I think that if she had, I assume Asmund would have paid for it easily. He has more than enough money. So I think it was due to the dynamics of the situation rather than his unwillingness to help. So that's my understanding of the situation. So I know. Yeah. Some people will just hoarders and smoking. Yeah, you don't have to tell me. I've known people that hoard. I knew someone fairly well with hoarding problems, and their parents also had horrible hoarding problems, who could have easily been on one of those shows, the hoarding shows. It was bad. It was bad. So yeah. Let's not talk about that anymore. It gets me sad. The golden rule of the internet is that you don't record yourself crying so the internet doesn't make fun of you. That's the rule. I wonder if the settlement stipulates she can't make any future statement that contradicts the apology. I guarantee you it does. It would be insane for it not to. Of course it does. The only downside is she's probably going to keep stealing content. Well, if she steals content, someone else might come after her who's less gracious. Particularly, any future person that wanted to sue her for copyright infringement would have an easier time because now they can prove that she has active knowledge of the law, right? I mean, ignorance of the law isn't an excuse, but if you can prove that you have active knowledge of the law, that helps because it goes to show willfulness, right? It shows that you're purposely, knowingly defying it. So anyone who wanted to sue her for copyright infringement in the future has her own statements to leverage against her in a future lawsuit, which helps, you know? So yeah. His hatred runs deep and rightfully so. If she really wants to accept apology, she needs to get out of the way and make him believe her. Yeah, that didn't help. What else are we reading? Life comes at you fast. Yeah, it does. Changes nothing about my mind about this fat fucking cretin. You think she would have given it some effort, man, you know? Asmongold exposes the same amount of times Kaceytron talks about him on Twitter. What is this?
This is the person who's complaining about me harassing her.
That's a lot of mentions. That is a lot of... It's a lot of mentions, Kaceytron.
These are the amount of times that she's tweeted about me and talked about me.
Yeah, that's a lot. I don't think I've ever talked about someone this much ever. Certainly not on my channel. There's no who have I tweeted this much about? Karen Reed, maybe, I guess, because there were 2 trials. Maybe Karen Reed. Yeah, this is a lot, man. Even Karen Reed, I'm not so sure.
How about that?
That's a lot.
You guys thought it was over. No, it just didn't load yet. There was too many of them.
Yeah, even Karen Reed, I'm not sure there's that many tweets.
I wonder how long it's going to go. I do. I wonder how long it's going to go for. Let's find out. It's 2023. There's no way it can go that much longer, right? This is like the credits for...
So this is the person you claim is harassing you. Well, if he talks about you as often as you talk about him, yeah, it's hard to justify that as harassment. Harassment basically is any continued unwanted communication. That's basically the short definition of harassment. If you continue to communicate with someone when they've expressed they don't want you to talk to them, that's harassment. That's one of the things harassment is. It's a little bit hard to make that claim, however, when you're the one instigating it all the time. I don't want you talking about me. It doesn't work when I'm talking about you all the time. That's not how that works. That's a lot. Is this still going on?
Oh, there we go. Okay, it's over now. Yeah, this is like the credits for Concord. It's unbelievable. So you've been getting mad about me for 6 years.
Yep.
And you've been a victim.
Yep.
Well, now you actually are.
Yep.
Too bad, huh? Oh, wow. A victim of your own stupidity. From Kaceytron Asmongold. Oh, the opposite for me. From Asmongold, Kaceytron. The last time I called her fat and that she smelled bad.
Yeah, that's not really bad. Look at the tweets. April 25th, 2024, May 13th, 2021, October 18th, 2019. And it's not tweeting a lot about you, man. He's tweeted about you 3 times in the last 6 years. It's hard to qualify that as harassment, man. I don't know. That's funny. XQC destroyed Kaceytron. Money is financial freedom. Freedom is having the ability to choose what you want to do as much as possible. Why are you mad he lives in the way he wants to? Fair enough. You have a lot of money too, yet you're overweight and choose to smoke weed all the time. Respect people's choices. Yet Asmongold is sitting on a big pile of money and doesn't spend it on anything, even including a maid service, which, to be honest, I would recommend a lot for your own health and sanity. Not that Asmongold is listening to me, but if you were, I'd be like, Asmon, my friend, I'm begging you, get someone to do a hazard cleanup, because they're going to need hazard pay the first time. Okay, get someone to do a hazard cleanup the first time, and then just have a maid service come in every week and freshen it up. You can easily afford it, and you won't get like lung diseases and stuff. And also, your life will be less miserable. Also, maybe a fresh coat of paint wouldn't hurt, and probably some new appliances, because some of them look a little ratty. Just, just some thoughts. Maybe spending a little bit of money would be a good idea. Just yeah, okay, just some ideas. He said he has a plumber coming today because only one sink is working. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, he has more money he has so much money. It's like, I don't have a lot of money. I'm not rich. I'm not sitting on millions and millions. It's like, you could just have someone come in and clean once in a while, man. A little lemon pledge would go a long way. I'm just saying. It's a little much. It's a little much, man. XQC has no sympathy for Kaceytron. What XQC have to say about this?
September, I made a settlement offer to Ethan for $17,500. This offer was publicly revealed by Ethan.
Chat next.
$17,500. I believe at this time she had more than that in her GoFundMe. It's not much of a settlement, man. $17,500. Yeah, I don't know, man.
TTS.
For how much? For what?
In September, I made a settlement offer to Ethan for $17,500.
Oh, hell no.
This offer was public.
Yeah, the house doesn't have a lot of remaining value. I also agree with that, to be honest. The house is quite old. I think he said it's 100 years old at one point. Yeah, to be honest, the house should be raised, and something else should probably be built in its presence. But if we're not going to do that, I'm just saying, at a minimum, have someone do a hazard clean, and then pay a maid to clean it up every once a week, and maybe some new basic appliances would be nice. But yeah, the house probably should be razed to the ground. Yeah, all those things. Yeah, 100%.
Revealed by Ethan to his Instagram followers. My mother, father, and sister all struggle with disability and housing instability. They are my family and they depend on me.
Yo, I don't want to be cruel. I don't want to be cruel to this person, but double down. When I was getting sued with no information, she just doubled down, tripled down, saying the most outrageous lies about me, being a weirdo about it. I don't care. Now you're getting sued. We do not care. We don't give a single shit. I don't care what you guys say about this. Fuck you.
Just this month, like many other low-income Americans, my mother and disabled sister had their food stamps taken away.
Raised with any goal, knowing she'll be mocked in self. Yo, my viewer base only knows you because you tweet the most outrageous dog shit coming out of left field for no reason, and you tweeted some outrageous things you knew were not true at the time. I didn't even engage with her community or her ever before she was doing this shit. Here, there, people didn't even know she existed until she did this shit. And then she didn't blame my friends for being what? Incels? What a cop-out. Bro, what a zero IQ cop-out, zero responsibility, zero.
Yeah, Asmongold really would be well advised at this point to just raise his house to the ground, including everything that's in it, and just buy new stuff. He can afford it. And Probably the best course of action. Maybe get himself a nice condo downtown Austin somewhere. I don't know. Yeah.
Zero acknowledgement, zero accountability. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I believe it is highly
Interesting.
unlikely that a court would find me liable for copyright infringement at all. And
I think it's incredibly likely a court would find you liable for copyright infringement. I think it's exceptionally likely. I think it's 95%. Maybe you can sell them if you're really lucky on the transformative use, but I wouldn't bet on it, man.
Okay, then okay. Bro, oh my God.
Sarge.
I hate when people come in with an angle of like, oh, I'm the victim, oh, this is hard, whatever, and it's gonna stand on business of a place of high ground. Buddy, you do not have the high ground. You don't have, you're not on top, little buddy. What is this? Oh, yo, dude. No, the one with liable. Then why settle for what fucking 1/14 of the fucking amount then? Why then?
considering it is unlikely there are
1/10,
any damages at all that I could have caused, even if I am found liable for copyright infringement, my offer of $17,500 felt very generous. For me,
Not really. No, not really. What is it? $30,000 starts at like $30,000 for intentional infringement, basically. It's like, yeah, it goes, from 30 to like 150. Yeah, it's not good, man. Yeah.
Dude, why is she making this public? What is this public statement? This is awful. Yo, what chat GPT lawyer told her to fucking go live and say this shit? This is actually awful.
for copyright infringement, my offer of $17,500 felt very generous. For me, that is a lot of money, and it would have come directly from my own pocket.
Yo, you're in the court of the law. Don't give me this fucking for me thing. Buddy, when you enter the public space and you do shit that involves other people, and you want to go around swinging around and fucking and wilding out, dude, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you have, who you are. Buddy, you're involved with other people. Like,
To reach a settlement soon, this could stretch all the way to December
Who
of
cares
next
then?
year and cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawyers' fees through the end of the trial. To be clear, I don't make anywhere near this kind of money. Like most Americans, I live paycheck to paycheck. Since this lawsuit was announced,
Okay.
it has resulted
okay,
in a
dude.
barrage of hate and
Okay.
harassment that has been incredibly mentally taxing. Every day across all of my social media, I am relentlessly reminded that my life could be ruined.
Chit chat
that my
set.
You never heard raise it? You're misspelling the word raise. That's why. R-A-Z-E. Raise. R-A-Z-E. You're misspelling it. That's why.
myself and my family could
She had to pawn off her vault of weed. Really?
wind up living on the streets, that Ethan is going to foreclose on my home. All realities that feel very real to me right now, and all being used by hateful onlookers to push me into killing myself. The thought of dealing
Whoa.
with the constant
Whoa!
The thought of dealing with the constant doxing, threats to my life, and harassment for another year is extremely dark. This treatment wears on a person, and it has left me
When she says outrageous things that are not true about others, when she reaches for the moon, when saying the most outlandish shit, this doesn't cross her mind. This doesn't cross her concern that this will happen to others. Why the fuck would anybody cares when this happens to her? I hate to do this, guys. Oh, you do this, then this should happen to you. I think this is awful. It should never happen to anybody. She turns a blind eye when she causes this. It's, oh no, whatever, who cares? Like, it's gonna feel weird for the public when you try to act like, oh no, I'm the victim here. Like, buddy, this is like the ping pong theory.
I've changed my
XQC's got some weird hair. I just noticed. It's got this blonde and black root thing. It's like kind of like a skunk thing. I didn't really notice before. Okay.
GoFundMe goal to better reflect the cost of this sort of litigation. Again, these funds are
Yo, these new things of the internet, maybe it's just only like these Hassan orbiters.
yapping.
When people take fights on the internet and when they lose, they ask for GoFundMe's. This shit's gotta stop. Yo, GoFundMe needs to put their foot on the ground and say, guys, we don't do this bullshit GoFundMe for fucking lawsuits that you get yourself into, and just cancel it. Just outright ban it from being an option to do. Yo, don't go picking fights against Titans or whatever, and you go, oh guys, fund me lawsuit, bruv. What is that shit?
He's a millionaire skunk. Yeah, I understand. I don't really quite understand the appeal of XQC, but he got his claim to fame in like gaming because he was like really good at some game or something. Is how he got his start, and then he's like transitioned into other things. as I vaguely understand it. But when I see someone like XQC or Asmongold, I'm like, well, I don't know if what they're doing that I'm not doing, and I guess that's why I'm not a millionaire, but hopefully I'll figure it out at some point. He seems a bit incoherent at times. A little bit, yes. How many levels of commentary reaction are we? A reaction. We're doing. I'm reacting to XQC, reacting to Ethan Klein. We're all reacting. This is fun.
Shit. The reason why I said Titans, I chose my words carefully. There are so many users on the internet.
Did you guys like the thumbnail? I thought it turned out really great. That was Google Gemini, by the way, did that thumbnail. I thought it turned out really good. I asked it to do 3 thumbnails, and all 3 were actually pretty good. So, yeah, I was like, yeah, that's cool. So I liked it. It's easy. Worked out pretty good.
So many people to do beef with, or so many people to fuck with. There's one person on the entire internet that on the case of copyright shit on the internet with reactionary content.
And Google Gemini also seems the best for AI creation of video. So I decided to bite the bullet and pay the $250 a month for the premium package so I can do more videos in my, videos on demand. Or, more AI videos on my videos on demand. So because I get all the credits. So yeah. So you should be getting more views, but XQC gets a lot of attention for what? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't fully understand it, but maybe I don't have the charisma of XQC. Charisma is hard. Charisma is hard to understand. I don't know. Yeah.
Content you wouldn't go after. You wouldn't fuck with. It's Ethan. And she finds the one person that knows this shit. And literally fucking case law this shit. And she fucked with him. Dude, like, what are you doing?
He's young and pretty. He is definitely skinnier than me. So there is that. But then again, I'm going to the gym. As you guys know, right? 24 times last month. The last 3 months of the gym, I made the leaderboard. So that's 3 months of consistent work. So I'm just saying, I want to be recognized for this glory. And the month before, I was pretty good too. I just didn't make the leaderboard because it was like a partial month. So like last 4 months, I've been going to the gym like crazy. And I've been lifting and powerlifting, and I've been feeling really good about it. I've become a bit of a gym rat. Every time I go, I recognize somebody now because I go at different times. So at this point, I'm recognizing people no matter when I go to the gym. So it's like, oh, okay. So I got various. It's like, okay, this is what we're doing now. Yeah. So I'm loving it. And I think I figured out what I'm doing in the future. So I'm still doing the powerlifting. So I'm 100% powerlifting until my birthday, January 13th. So that's 40 more days, right? 40 days of powerlifting. Let's go get it, right? So we can maximize that bench, squat, and deadlift for that 1 rep max. Let's go for it, right? And then I think what I'm going to do after that is I think what I'm going to do initially is I'm going to switch to a 50-50 bodybuilding powerlifting. So I'm going to switch to a 50-50 mix. And then at some point, I think I'm going to do a bench only thing for a while and then switch back, I think is what I'm going to do. But I'm pretty excited about all this. So I'm hyped.
What are you doing?
It's like the manosphere, a lot of the men in this space really hate me because ever since I've had a platform, I've spoken out against.
We need to work on definition. I don't know if you guys ever seen powerlifters, but powerlifters are not athletic looking. Some of them are quite doughy too. Like all their muscles are, hidden under lots of fat. So powerlifters don't necessarily look the part in a lot of ways. So it's like, I kind of want to look the part a little bit. So I'm going to switch to a 50-50 so I can, at least get some definition. So it looks like I can lift in addition to actually being able to lift. I thought that might be good. So I'm excited about that. Maybe throw in some cardio too. We'll see.
They're misogynistic.
Let's not forget the lore. Her stream has been one of the first iterations of rage bait in online live media. Her whole stream was self-depreciating bait for people to insult her to make money. She was the OG insult me while donating to make money. Let's not. Don't forget this. It was a deliberate way. She made millions of dollars, literally doing this insult me skit or whatever, and then to turn around and say, "Oh, these incel men guys. Don't lump the fucking creator guys, whatever, with the incels that you farmed for years. It is not the same thing. You don't get to do that. When is she gonna understand this?
That was a lot. Your sins are forgiven. May you live the rest of your days without my name ever being uttered again. I wonder if the settlement went that far. It probably did. I mean, may you live without ever mentioning my name, as opposed to you're not allowed to mention my name. Yeah, maybe it's that deep. Maybe she's actually prohibited from mentioning him ever again. That'd be hilarious. But I haven't forgotten our history. If you ever cross me again, my judgment will be everlasting. Never let your guard down. I'm always watching. I particular, yeah, it's like because she's settled in her settlement, has made representations. And if she ever went down on that, you know, yep, it's not going to end well.
So that I can go back to providing my family with my full support. Ethan?
Don't ever believe any of this bullshit. She is the nastiest fucking person
True.
ever.
Real
She's
shit.
so nasty, so obnoxious. She has no problem bringing up my dead mother, weaponizing her audience against people, spreading lies against people. Nah, you get what you fucking deserve.
Real shit on
You
God.
do. And if he wins the case, you have to...
Yeah, I guess we're kind of reaction tubing now. I guess that's kind of what we're doing, but you know, that's okay. Just interested in what people are saying about it. So, all right. Yeah. Dear Kaceytron, now's a great time to look around. Remember who gassed you up to keep fighting an unwinnable lawsuit, especially if you knew about your financial struggles. They gave you bad advice. They're not your friends. True. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for now. I think we've got enough out of this. So, yes, there is a settlement. Frogan and Demins should be scared. The state they have more liability, I think, than even Kaceytron. Kaceytron probably has the least liability of the three. And she's the first to flip. And so, you know, we'll see. But it's probably going to be rough. So if they want to take this thing all the way to trial, they certainly can, assuming that they make it past a motion for summary judgment, which I do not think is all guaranteed. I think there's a very decent chance of the judge deciding this in Ethan Klein's favor on a motion for summary judgment. I think it's an odds-on favorite to be deciding a motion for summary judgment. So, but assuming they make it that far, they can try their luck in front of a jury, and we'll see how it goes. But that's all fun. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. I've enjoyed it. And I'm going to wish you well. Until later, my friends, have a good one. Peace and goodbye.